I'm going to try to I'm going to try to explain something that's maybe a little bit unfamiliar to you. See, there's this guy, this friend of mine, and I kind of blame this guy for a lot of my little bits of insanity. And today, I wound up spending hours and hours on this stupid little problem, and it's probably his fault. Because this is someone I worked together with a long time ago in this software company, and he'd always make these little gimmicky, little cutesy things, and the thing that I wanted, that came to my mind, was that I wanted one of those stupid little things. It's in a software house like where I was working, often there are these big long jobs that you have to run, and they'll maybe run in a DOS box or a command prompt like this, and slowly print the dots as it's going along, so you know that it's doing something. But there was this one job that takes hours and hours and hours and hours, so that the thing would fill up with dots, and you couldn't tell if it was doing anything anymore. And this guy, being the way he is, just came up with the perfect answer to the dot problem. I don't mean clearing the screen or anything like that. And it's one of those cutesy little stupid things that anyway, I'll just show you what it is so you can see. It's by no means done, but I gotta actually type it in. See, as it's sitting there, one of those dots, this thing rotates for a while, and then it clicks over to the next dot, so you can still indicate that things are happening and show the progress, but you don't fill up the screen as quickly. I mean, you can fill up the screen, let's say in powers of 10 or something, the amount of time you want to take to go from here to here or whatever. So he added this little spinner, and I thought, oh, spinners, maybe I could just make one, just for fun. And it's my fault, I forgot. I forgot about my nemesis. I have a nemesis, and this is it. Let me show you the batch file that runs that little spinner. See, here are the characters. It took me a while to figure out that I need quotes here. And then all this does is it's a little loop. And of course I had to make a thing to sleep for a while. That's okay, I don't care about that. This just represents some task, let's say. And it goes through and pulls out one of these characters. And then I want to print it to the screen with a backspace first. That's a backspace. But this thing has always been standing in the way of these sorts of things that you want to do. And that is, you want to do the echo, but you don't want the carriage return. And there's no way, as far as I know, to turn it off. You have to make a program that will echo whatever it is without the carriage return. So, now, that wouldn't be so bad. It's not that hard to write a thing that just prints out what you type. Except for the fact that, I don't know if I can find a good example. I need a decently long file. Oh, plenty of stuff in here. Not very long. Okay. Well, let me just see what's in here. That's pretty long. Now, we're working in the other tutorial about this thing that we are made a thing to change the case of letters. And I thought this thing that we're building is something I wanted, so I actually wrote it just quickly in C so that I could have this tool, and it's called toUpper. And for instance, I could type this text, just type, you can find it, and do this, toUpper, and it should come out in uppercase. But watch. No. Well, that wouldn't do that. Usually, there's quite a long wait. Maybe I ran it recently. There shouldn't be any wait. We do that. And that's the thing that bothers me, is that sometimes you got to wait for these things. And the reason you have to wait, obviously, is this. In quotes. See? All this thing is doing is converting the case of something. Look at all this stuff that it's importing from different places all over the world. And that's because it's just using the standard runtime library that loads all this stuff that you don't really need, or I don't need all the time anyway. So it turned out, okay, I didn't want, especially echo minus CR, I don't want to have to wait for this thing to do its job. It should be instant like that always. In fact, if you look at the size of this file, it's probably too big as is. Whoops, utils. Yeah, it's too big. That's quite small for a Windows file. And if you look at that one, as far as what it's using from the system, it's nothing. 5 functions. And the only reason it's probably, it's my fault. I put this should say 1,000, not 3,000. This is something you have to. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter because it's fast enough. I've never waited for it. Okay, but to make that little program do that thing took me almost all day, and it was a really subtle bugs like I debug it, in this thing. See, this program is not including any of the C runtime. No C runtime here. And I figured, it should be pretty easy because the operating system can get me the command line. And if I've got the command line, all I got to do is, just somehow just get rid of the program name and print it out using the right to the console. But it turns out that this get command line, the string that comes out of this, is a mess. This is actually what the person typed. It's got nothing to do with, it has a little bit to do with your program, in that they probably typed the name of your program. But who knows? I think maybe the name of the program is related in some way to this thing. But I started working on it. And I knew that I could get the actual program name from this function. So I get the actual program name, and I was trying to find out some way to link that with that. And eventually it seemed to be working. And when I was in the debug build, this is release, and testing it, well, that's something else. But anyway, I had some other arguments in here. It was working perfectly. And so great. Go over and I run it, compile it. It didn't really matter if it was debug or release or whatever. I tried it on the, copy it down to its folder and try it, and it would fail. And it kept failing all the time. And because all this parsing I was taking advantage of the fact that the debugger was providing the full path of the program to the command line. But I wasn't. I was just typing this. And this is exactly what it gave me. But you can't tell the difference if it's, if this is going to be a path or what someone typed. It's not, there's no format. There might be quotes. Sometimes there'd be double quotes and then single quotes, and I start working on it, and I didn't realize that I was using things like stir span on the debug side, and then I go and build this, and suddenly, blinker error, and that's the runtime library I don't want. So, okay, there's only about 3 of these functions, so I can just write those 3. So now it's Allen stir span, Allen stir, Allen, and you see how the problem is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's still everything. I got it, everything going, even in the release build and everything. And then I tried in my batch file, and it fails. I tried every case. I tested everything, and then I look, and it was actually due to me doing this uppercase thing. I had uppercase my rotate file, and so this thing was in uppercase, and all my tests were in lowercase. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do, So I said, okay, well, I know that if I change this to lowercase, it's going to work, right? And so I did, and it was working, and I didn't feel very good about the fact this has to be in lowercase. Even worse than that, at one point I just hard-coded the string in here just to see that it would run. Anyway, so that's one of those little insanities, but there was a point to all of this. And that was, what was the thing I wanted to say? I think I really knew about it. Oh, yeah. This is the other thing, is that, see, I could also make that echo minus CR using the debug program. I could probably do it in about 10 bytes, right? But the problem with that is that this is a Windows environment. Even if it's a 10-byte COM program, that it's still got to load the emulator to make it look like it's running in a 16-bit environment. So some 5-byte COM program will take longer to run than this echo minus CR. That you never wait for because it's native to the system. And there was another one I wanted to show you on this, and I can't because this recorder thing is constantly causing the screen to refresh. So, and that's kind of what gave me this idea of, okay, I should cut out the runtime library and make a really quick echo minus CR. But I took a screenshot though. Here, I'll show you. Where is it? Screen. Yeah, I took a screenshot. All this thing is it's like a hello world thing, but it just writes directly on the screen. Yeah. You see, it would look like that, and if you move this, then it would. Oh my goodness, that's the other one. Yeah, that's the other picture I made too. There's no window or anything there. That's just written directly on the screen. This one he's done transparency. That's this thing commented out. So I figured that would, if he can do that, like surely I must be able to print out to the console. But what a mess, and it's still not done. If you look at this line, I figured that okay, I can get the full path name of the program and extract just the name part. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to be part of the command line. Someone would have to type the name of the program at least. There might not be an extension. They don't. This is just raw. This thing just gives you. I didn't know this before today. At this entry point, all this tells you is what was typed, and you don't know anything more. So, for one thing, they may or may not have typed the extension. So if I can get out the name, kill the extension for the actual program name, we do that, and then I know that somewhere in that command line we should find this string without the extension. So if I search through that command line and I find that match, and then cut off that match and move one character over, then I should have the rest of the command line. But if you think about it, there's so many cases like this. For instance, it's called echo minus CR. So that somebody might type that, or it could be, echo minus CR. There's infinitely many possibilities. But it could be that echo minus CR is part of what this person wanted to type. This, for instance, could be a path. Okay, it's possible that this is really a directory here, but you don't have to specify this slash. And if this were a directory, it might have been or a name or something. It might have been something someone typed here. It might even end with the name of the program, even with an extension. And it's possible that this could actually be where the program is, and then there's more typing here. Like it's almost impossible for me. It's a near impossibility for me anyway to try and figure out at which point when they stop typing and press enter, where is that? I'm not going to start searching through the file system and seeing if there's a match in all these different places. But it is possible because I do have the full path. So you can work it out. But now you're into really difficult parsing problems. And all I want to do is print out that little spinning thing because of that guy. And anyway, so I don't know. So that's kind of one of those, just one of those things comes up. Well, maybe I'll get some.